Alright, welcome back to the Recipe Analyst. Today I'll be making garlicky potato spread from the Zaytinya Cookbook. So I have the potatoes that I'm going to be boiling. I've already washed them and I'm going to cover them with about an inch or two of water and put them on medium-high heat on the stove. Season the water with some salt. And then once the water is boiling, I set a timer for 30 minutes and reduce the heat to medium. And once the potatoes are done cooking, I drain them, and you should reserve about a half a cup of this liquid, which I completely forgot. So while the potatoes are cooling, I go ahead and grate the garlic and I add the rice vinegar. You can use white wine vinegar instead, which is what the recipe actually asks for. Go ahead and mix that. And then I peel the potatoes and get them ready to be pushed through the fine mesh strainer. You can use a food mill or a potato ricer if you have one of those instead. That'll save you some time and it should be a little bit easier, but I don't have one of those. So once the potatoes are all mashed through the strainer, I add the garlic and vinegar mixture and I mix that into the potatoes. And then I add the olive oil and I mix that in as well. And at this point, the potato mixture is fairly thick, so to kind of make a substitute for the cooking liquid, I add some potato starch to some warm water, and I add that to the potatoes until it's loosened and a lot smoother. Finally, I season it with some salt and pepper. The recipe says to use white pepper, but I don't have white pepper, so I just use black pepper. At that point, the recipe is done, and I just transfer it to a smaller bowl so it doesn't take up as much space in the refrigerator. The recipe says that it's typically used with fried fish or smoked salmon. I don't have either one of those, so I decided to just give it a try with the everything bagel crackers from my previous video. So what did I think of the garlicky potato spread? First off, it's very smooth, which makes sense considering it's pretty much just mashed potatoes. But that's completely fine. That's the only texture that you get, considering it's supposed to go with something like fried fish or smoked salmon. And I think if it was paired with something like fried fish or fried chicken, the texture would actually accompany the crunchiness pretty well. As far as the flavor goes, it's mostly vinegary and potatoey. The garlic kind of takes a back seat. You can perceive it a little bit, but it's not the star of the show by any means. But I think since it's more vinegar forward, it would really go well with the fried fish and anything that's more fatty, since it'll kind of cut through the fattiness. So at the end of the day, I gave this a 7 out of 10. I didn't have the perfect foods to go with it, but I can totally imagine it going well with those recommendations that the recipe had. Anyway, thanks for watching, and as always, you can read a more in-depth analysis at therecipeanalyst.com and let me know what you want me to try next.